फास्टेस्ट क्रिकेट स्कोर अपडेट्स या सबसे डिटेल्ड स्टैट्स,
क्रिकेट के अंदर बाहर की खबरें
या हेल्दी डिबेट्स,
सबसे एक्यूरेट एनालिसिस
या फैंस का क्रेज, सबके लिए एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म, क्योंकि क्रिकेट मतलब क्रिकेट नेक्स्ट।
Hello everyone, you're watching Cricket Next. I'm Surama Kaushik. Now the big news of the day is that Rahul Dravid will continue to be Team India's head coach as he accepted BCCI's offer that offered him an extension to his term. Well, what's more in this news? Let's hear it out from K. Srinivasrao, Network 18 Group Sports editor. And along with him, we also have with us Jamie Alter and Taus Rizvi. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to this live session. Srini, first of all, why did BCCI extend his term? There were talks of VVS Lakshman taking over. Then what did happen?
I love the way you started off the show. BCCI offered and kind of Rahul Dravid accepted. BCCI went on the knee and Rahul Dravid said, I do kind of, nothing of that sort happened. The way if I were to probably look at this, BCCI till the last minute had no idea. I don't think till now they have recovered from the fact that they haven't won this World Cup. That nightmare is still not left the room, and in between they realized that, oh god, we have to go to South Africa now, and I don't think they had a plan B in place. They said abhi kuch bhi karo, pehle isko bhejo, and that is how they offered him an extension. And I think Rahul was kind enough to say, okay boss, I will do the needful. um, you know uh, and VVS Lakshman, where the in that question lies the answer. If VVS Lakshman, as reported by CricketNext, is
Yeah.
indeed the next coach. What my next question to be Indian Cricket Board and BCCI is that, is he your all format coach? And if he's your all format coach, then we need to have another couple of shows lined up tomorrow, day after, and the day after to figure out what exactly is our cricket board thinking. If you expect VVS Lakshman to coach your red ball team and your white ball team, for God's sake, I mean, if VVS Lakshman has to be your T20 coach, I have no words. I mean, I would call myself Chetan Narula, and be disappointed with all of you. This is ridiculous. Chetan would have pointed her out, and rightly so, that VVS Lakshman can't be your team. With all due respect, great guy, awesome
Yeah.
guy. One of the finest guys who can be with this team. Kind of. And tell me a bigger match winner. Between post turn of the century with the bat. People think Rahul. People say Rahul Dravid. People say Tendulkar. VVS Lakshman, big match player, big match player. But T20 coach, I'm sorry. So now, between now and 2027, which is the end of the next 4 years, we are not really worried about 50 over cricket. We can start worrying about 50 over cricket from 2025 onwards if the format continues to survive, etc., etc. Because you play the 50 over World Cup straight in South Africa World Cup. The 2027 World Cup. The fate of next year's Champions Trophy is somewhat in the doldrums. Point is, back-to-back T20 World Cups. You have one next year in the Caribbean and the United States, and then you have one in India in 2026. And it's a format that you have badly struggled. At least in one layers, you came close to winning the, whatever. You played the final, and you showed that you were a great 50 over squad. Right, in T20 we have completely missed the bus.
Yep.
And I keep saying this wherever I can, that Indian cricket needs to sit down and acknowledge, especially for a country that runs the world's biggest T20 league. We need to sit down and need to acknowledge that T20 as a format and as a game is completely different. You cannot use any existing filter to plan for T20. And in that, when you're looking for a coach, you cannot afford to have an elephant in the room as a coach, a Sachin Tendulkar, a Rahul Dravid, a VVS Lakshman. No, your coach needs to be typically the 12th man in the room, standing at the boundary, basically an extension of your playing 11. What Ashish Nehra is to, the Gujarat Titans, kind
Gujarat
of a thing.
Titans side.
Yeah. You can't have an elephant in the room. You need to have a man manager, a friend. We won the World Cup in 2007, the T20 World T20. We didn't have a coach. We sent a manager. We sent a manager in Lalchand Rajput. We didn't have a coach on that tour, right? So coaches don't really make a difference at that level. What you need is a great guy who can instill some sort of discipline and allow the team to play freely. That is the kind of CEO. And by the way, since we are on the subject, let me break a small myth here. I saw some reports saying Ashish Nehra was offered. Ashish Nehra will never take this job. You can offer it to anybody. By the way, Ashish Nehra is literally semi-retired in life and lives in Goa. Not going to, he's not a fool to let go of that life where he's living in Goa, come here and do this thankless job of leading Indian cricket and sit in front of media every day. So the BCCI needs to really do its homework and figure out how they're going to plan this. And we'll talk about this more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Obviously, we'll talk about this more. Yes,
let me, Srini bhai, you're talking about the BCCI not being prepared before appointing or maybe finding a replacement after the post the World Cup. I mean, this guy's this guy's term was coming to an end. But then in the midst of a World Cup or maybe before the World Cup, during the Asia Cup, BCCI and administration cannot come and put pressure saying that, okay, your thing is coming to an end, we are ready with a new coach. Otherwise, if they would have come out, if they would have prepared.
I agree. No. I agree. You don't need to come and say anything to the team or to the players. But you need to understand for yourself how you are going to pace your next 4 years, right? You need to understand what are you planning to do over a period of next 4 years. One thing I like, what is it about England and Australia that is so endearing? It's forget on the field what they do and everything. Point is how they plan. Planning is 50% of anything. 70% of anything that you do. Execution is kind of the last bit. The point is, was BCCI thinking all this while? I doubt. I don't think so. I think they are going to start planning now. Mind you, South Africa, by the time they come back from South Africa, England will already be sitting on their heads. So I don't see a change in coach there also. Rahul Dravid will have to continue. You suddenly, for a series as big as that, you suddenly can't, expect somebody new to walk in. So in this interim, BCCI has to take a call whether Rahul Dravid is the man who's going to accompany this team for the T20 World Cup in the Caribbean. Okay, and start planning for it now. You can't tell the team in March that, listen, in June this guy is coming with y'all. It's unfair on the players.
Yeah.
So I'm saying you don't need to go and tell the team, but you need to start planning. I think that's imperative.
This clearly means that BCCI was short of a plan and they didn't have any proper plan in place in terms of who lead the team in the incoming tournaments. But now we know that Rahul Dravid is going to be the head coach of this team for the upcoming tournaments. Well, nobody knows what's the tenure and how long will he coach the entire Indian team. But Jamie, let's have a quick look at Rahul Dravid's coaching tenure. And with all those points in mind, I want to know from you, how do you see this decision of BCCI? Do you find it as a good decision, or do you find it as a decision made in haste that, okay, we don't have any other person, so let's give it to Rahul Dravid, ask him to, accept this offer and then continue with him? How do you see it?
Yeah, it probably is the latter. I think Srini, from where I'm seeing it, he brought that hammer down on the nail. It just doesn't seem like there was a plan, because I can recount at least half a dozen shows in the last 5 months where we've all sort of agreed that post the World Cup, whether the trophy's in his hands or not, there would not be a contract renewal. So that's against that backdrop, it is very surprising. And I mean, it's nice that these pointers have been laid out. But in a sense, we are where we were 10 years ago, right? Trophy nahi aaya. So aap kisi ko bhi lao coach. And I tend to agree with Srini when he says it's not necessarily a coach that's required. It's a man manager. But again, said man manager failed to get you anything. And now said coach who's come from NCA, come from IPL, come from under 19 World Cup, also at the end of the day, did not give you a trophy. Maybe I'm very naive in saying this, but I would like to believe that some degree of his extension comes from the work culture that Rahul Dravid has built with Rohit Sharma. From the outside looking in, I think it seems to be a very positive, a very good team environment. But I want to go back to something which I've said, on Cricket Next many, many times. I believe that when Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma were made a pair as captain coach, it was a very business oriented model. कि आपके सामने KRA है, KRA के अगले 2 साल में एक T20 वर्ल्ड कप है, एक विश्व वनडे वर्ल्ड कप है और एक WTC फाइनल है. Did this combo deliver any of those? No. So to my book, Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma are still 0 for 3. And again, I know there was no such defined KRA, but when you're appointed, it's not like, "Oye, sunna, kaam karega." There has to be a roadmap, right? Look at the circumstances as outlined by all of us at some point in the last 1 year on this channel. Look at the circumstances that brought together Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma. Virat Kohli fiasco, T20 World Cup failed to get to the knockout round. He was forced out of the one-day captaincy, and then he was forced into a corner where Virat Kohli had to leave the Test captaincy. So various factors brought together Rahul Dravid with Rohit Sharma. You got to the semi-final of the T20 World Cup. That was your first immediate task. You lost by 10 wickets. You got to the final of the WTC final. What did you do again? You misread the conditions. You got to the final of the World Cup. What did you do? You misread the conditions. So to me personally, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma here. Kiya kya aapne? You had 3 tasks and you failed in all 3 tasks. So logically, there's no need to persist with either of the two. Let's hope, like I said, that it's this team environment is actually positive and they want to sort of run on the fumes of that to get to the WTC final in the summer of 2025, as well as hopefully get to the final of the Champions Trophy. Kahan bhi ho Champions Trophy, kis format mein ho, I would like to believe that this is just a 2-year grace period. But again, like Srini said, I think you need to look beyond the coach. You have to look at different coaches for different formats. One man, be it Dravid, be it Lakshman, be it Andrew McDonald for all I know, be it Stephen Fleming, be it Justin Langer. One man cannot be coaching India across all 3 formats. I would like to see a T20I/ODI coach. I don't think you need to differ between those two and just keep a red ball coach. Kya ye hoga? I think the writing's on the wall. Nahi hoga.
Well, that's a great idea, and everybody's thinking that such kind of an idea should be implemented, but nobody knows whether it will be or not. But what we know is Rahul Dravid's coaching tenure so far, Taos, and we were having a look at all these pointers. One thing that caught my attention was that in all these pointers, one thing is constant, that under his coaching or his coaching tenure, India won this series, that series, this bilateral, that bilateral, but there is no trophy. एंड आई थिंक जेमी ने वही चीज मेंशन भी किया अभी जब वो बात कर रहे थे, दैट हमने सब कुछ देख लिया है बट ट्रॉफी नहीं है आपके पास. इन दैट केस एंड इन दैट सिनेरियो, हाउ डू यू सी राहुल द्रविड़ एज द कोच ऑफ दिस साइड? नाउ ही इज बीन गिवन एन एक्सटेंशन ऑफ दिस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. अभी वापस से सेम ही आने का होगा कि आपने ये वाली सीरीज जीती, वो वाली सीरीज जीती, फिर T20 वर्ल्ड कप आएगा, उसके बाद भी क्वेश्चन मार्क लगेगा कि ट्रॉफी कहाँ है. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
I think we have won Asia Cup. Yeah, that's quite a big trophy after World Cup. But then, we haven't won WTC. We haven't won the World Cup. I mean, that timid approach, of course, during the final in Ahmedabad says it all. I mean, says about the mentality of the team, or maybe the conservative attitude or the approach towards the I mean, you could have sensed, yeah. See, there was some change in intent as well. I mean, Rahul Dravid से जब हम बात सोचते हैं, तो he's more of orthodox, conservative. He doesn't open up. But then you could see quite a few things. Rohit Sharma coming out playing with intent. He was like quite open. Obviously, it was must have been one of his decisions. मगर बिना कोच और कैप्टन के जेल होने से या एक दूसरे को कंसल्ट करने से वो नहीं होता है. तो आप देखिए स्टेजेस, हार्दिक पांड्या मूव, I mean, he would have played. Then Surya Kumar Yadav was also a bold move. I mean, considering he's an attacking player and they wanted a finisher. सब बैठा नहीं, puzzle सब एक साथ बैठा नहीं, तो final में आके, but then the run to the final was absolutely very good, dominating. हाँ वर्ल्ड कप ट्रॉफी नहीं आई, दैट इज समथिंग रियली सीरियस which we need to look, and it's a collective failure. I wouldn't blame Rahul Dravid alone, because all of them were batting except Rahul Dravid playing on the field. तो कोचेस का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एक रोप्स के पहले तक है, उसके अंदर जाके प्लेयर्स जाके अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस करे, जो भी करे जीते हारे उनके ऊपर है. बट देन आई वुड से लाइक श्रीनी भाई ने तो ऑलरेडी कह दिया है, किसको बुलाते सडनली अगर प्लानिंग नहीं होता और वो लीक नहीं होता तो फर्क पड़ता है कि मतलब they should have prepared before the South Africa series, which is as big as followed by England series, a 5-match series. So I mean we need a guy who's strong, because you'll have in character as well as stature, क्योंकि इस टेस्ट मैचेस में या ओडीआई में ज्यादातर आप देखेंगे रोहित शर्मा, विराट कोहली, have some big players. So compared to T20 cricket, where you can go with maybe like what we did in 2007, Lalchan Rajput. I agree with Jamie's point that we should come up with split coaching, just like split captaincy. We need a big brother in T20 cricket. By the way, we need a mentor, big brother like an MS Dhoni, somebody who could guide you. क्योंकि ये youngsters हैं, इनको एक बड़ा player, because Rahul Dravid won't come and say कि भाई, he won't open up again in front of these youngsters, or maybe these guys will be hesitant. रोहित शर्मा, विराट कोहली का उनका स्टेचर है, they can go, they can speak to Rahul Dravid openly, क्यों उन्होंने अचीव किया इंडिविजुअली. राहुल द्रविड ऑब्वियसली इज अ बिग मैन, तो एक लिमिट तक होनी चाहिए. आई मीन आई वुड से आई एग्री विद जेमी भाई एज वेल एज श्रीनी भाई कि भाई टेस्ट क्रिकेट हो या ओडीआई मैक्सिमम, राहुल द्रविड इज फाइन विद दैट. और आप सडनली एक नया कोच लाते हैं साउथ अफ्रीका के लिए, और ही वुड हैव बीन कंफ्यूज. लक्ष्मण इज स्टिल देयर. आई मीन आप एनसीए में है, ही इज बीन फॉलोइंग इट, उनके बदले वो आ जाते हैं. बट देन when it comes to consistency, when it comes to continuity, I think till England series he's fine. He should be there. Rahul Dravid, I think there is no question mark over that. But then when it comes to T20 cricket, I don't know. It's quite a short time. और कितना जल्दी adjust होगा. We need the guy who's bold in his approach, who knows T20 cricket, who has been dominating, who is a smart, clever guy. Because मतलब 12th match
in your thought, who can
I would have loved
be the
having
best one to
Dhoni
take
as
up that
mentor, yeah, but I don't know. एक बार T20 World Cup में तो जा चुके थे ना last year. Dhoni was there in one of the tournaments. So I would prefer a Dhoni. He's a strategist. He knows exactly, and he can deal with these young kids. तो I mean बाद में विराट कोहली आ जाए, भरोसा नहीं टीम में. But then these youngsters, if these youngsters are going, I think Dhoni is perfect for them.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that can be a possibility, but who knows? Srini, before taking up SK Anand's point, of a non-Indian coach or a non-Indian person in the support staff, I want to know from you. BCCI hasn't mentioned the tenure of the extension of this contract. Do you have any inputs on that?
I hope BCCI has inputs. I mean, mine would be secondary. I doubt the fact that they have not announced anything except the fact that they are giving an extension. To me, what has come out, the statement is a straight off indication that listen, right now we don't have any other plan, so we are giving them an extension. That is what it reeks off to me. Okay, if there was a plan in place, it would show in the statement. Nobody has to spell it out. Right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Before I go to some of the other points, for example, somebody just pointed out about the possibility of a foreign hand, right?
Yeah.
Is there a possibility of a non-Indian to be part of the support staff? Now, I'll just take an extension of this, okay? Just keep this aside. I'll come back to this. Let me go back to 2007, because that was the beginning of a very low phase for India. We had just come back from the Caribbean. Where we had lost, we bowed out of the World Cup in the first round, right? And if you remember, there was this very popular, very famous interview in the Times of India from Sachin Tendulkar, where he had said, "Pani sar se upar chala hai." I don't know how old Suramya was at that time, if she was tracking cricket, but tabhi wo ek headline tha, "Pani sar se upar ja raha hai." Sachin had given this headline interview. It was a very, very big interview, and all hell broke loose. It was in regards to Greg Chappell. Until then, Greg Chappell had all the freedom in Indian cricket, doing whatever he wanted to do, taking on Saurav Ganguly, everything fine. Everything was fine. Till that interview which Sachin Tendulkar gave to the media. The moment that interview came, next day, Greg Chappell was packing his bags to go back to Australia. With all due respect, I don't want to get into who was right, who was wrong. But after the interview, the next day morning, Greg was on his way back to Australia. Okay, that was the power of the voice of a Tendulkar.
Yeah.
What was happening in the background? BCCI had no idea how it wanted to go about in terms of, kind of who would be the next coach, what they would be planning. It was a World Cup year once again because, you had come back from the Caribbean. There was a T20 World Cup coming, and there was some important series to be played. India had to go to England that year, a series which we won. Zahir Khan, the Zahir Khan series. So, there was a lot of cricket coming up. NCA at that time, very briefly, was being chaired by Ravi Shastri. Okay.
Okay.
So Ravi took a call at NCA. He approached the BCCI and he said, let me pick a man of my choice to head the NCA, not for a long term, but with a strict, kind of framework, a policy framework that whoever I choose will set up a coaching hierarchy at the academy, okay, which will help us work in the future, on youngsters and build on the talent that is coming through. Now, remember why I'm saying this. He went and asked and ensured that Dave Watmore should come and join the NCA. Okay, this has many connotations. Dave Watmore is the guy who went with Virat Kohli to Malaysia for the Under 19 World Cup in Kuala Lumpur that year. When Dave was appointed, it is Dave who brought Bharat Arun as the bowling coach in NCA. Okay, obviously with Ravi's recommendation also. Bharat Arun, R. Sridhar, all of them, they joined under Watmore at that time in the NCA. Okay, from there on, over the next 5 to 8 years, they were associated with the NCA on a regular basis. Because of which, the bowlers who were going to come, who at that time were 16, 17, 18 year olds, okay, when they came into India contention, a Bharat Arun taking over as the bowling coach of the Indian team was ready to identify. Bharat Arun was familiar with a Mohammad Shami. He was familiar with an Ishant Sharma. He was familiar with the likes because he had seen them as under 19, under 17 boys at the NCA. Why am I giving this example? Is because what you start planning now may not necessarily give you immediate results, but it sows the seeds to what you may benefit from in 5 years from today. Okay. So what I don't think the this BCCI has put in that kind of energy into figuring out what kind of depth is required. You're looking at a massive ecosystem. You can't, the answer doesn't lie in that kisko coach bana de hum, kisko hum, assistant coach bana de, kisko support staff bana de. You appoint random cricket advisory committees. There's some people who have been appointed. I don't want to kind of, players, so no disrespect meant. What is their connect with Indian cricket today? There was a former legendary 83 World Cup winning player who was appointed as a cricket advisory committee. Great man. Respect. How exactly is he connected to what is happening in Indian cricket or global cricket today? How exactly is he supposed to pick a coach based on modern day requirements? What does he understand about analytics that are involved in today's day-to-day coaching? I'll give you an example. Today's coach, whether you are appointing from a T20, let's see. I mean, you keep ODI cricket aside. Look at Test cricket. Look at T20. Let me talk about T20 cricket. Today in T20 cricket, does a coach or these selectors, who get paid in crores, do they have to go and find players at last mile? Do they have to travel to rural India to look for talent? They don't have to. Like for example, in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, there was something called a TRDO. When Dilip Vengsarkar was associated, the TRDO, what did it do? It went to kind of literally tier 2, tier 3 towns in India to look for talent, which is where the Rainas and the Dhonis and all came from, right? Today, the IPL franchisees are doing that for you. Our correspondent Sahil Malhotra did an amazing story in Cricket Next before the previous IPL on which states had thrown up what kind of cricketers, between in the last 2 years, 3 years. The numbers that came from Jammu and Kashmir, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh are a result of what? Most of them are a result of the talent scouting that the franchisees are doing.
Yeah.
So you are
Yeah.
literally getting ready-made material. What do you need? You need guys who can sit, sort the cream out, and have a good man manager in place who can make good use of this talent. Once the
Yeah.
cricketer, and Dilip Vengsarkar told me this is not my gyan I'm giving. I was having a long chat once with Dilip, and like many chats like this, and like, it's a pleasure listening to that man. And Dilip said, with all due respect, even if you make me the head coach, what am I going to coach today's modern day cricketer who has made it to the Indian team? I can't. Am I going to teach a Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma how to bat? He's already a
No.
made batsman.
Yeah.
I all I got to do is be there for him in case he requires any help, where I can be of assistance purely because of the experience I bring to the table.
Yeah.
You know. So now I come down to this question which this gentleman asked. Could there be a chance of a foreign coach? I don't know whether it's a foreign coach or an Indian coach. Is there a possibility of a non-Indian? Let's all of us, I put this to Jamie. I mean, I track cricket as much as Jamie does, or even as much as Taus does. I put this question to Jamie here. Close your eyes and tell me one Indian individual you can think of who you think understands things from a modern day perspective and can take over India's T20 leadership. See, the answer lies in IPL. The answer
Yeah.
lies in IPL. Which franchise today is riding high on success with an Indian coach? You tell me. Ashish Nehra, based on the 2 seasons at Gujarat Titans, and that already became a headline. BCCI ne offer kar diya job, and he
Yeah.
says no, I'm happy in Goa. Yeah. The point is, our coaching, what we do, half our NCA is not doesn't even exist. It's under renovation, right? Our level 3 courses at the NCA, they also require renovation. They are as stone age as our NCA itself. You know,
Yeah.
so we need to bring in, if you understand, if I were to be thinking this on the lines of BCCI, I would be planning the next 5 years in terms of, I have a world class academy coming up. How do I put a world class coaching in a system in place from this academy's perspective? And while I do that, how do I put a separate coaching team in place that takes care of the Indian team in the interim? And how do I merge this over the next 5 years? Have a grand plan. Understand? ये नहीं कि political appeasing. अब Supreme Court ने बोला है committee of administrators appoint कर दो. No, the judges don't understand cricket. You can sit with the Supreme Court judge and say, my
Yeah.
lord, this is cricket. You stay away from this. It is not your cup of
Yeah.
tea. So it is understood, but you at least have a plan first. Now, how do you want to go
Yeah.
about? So
Yeah.
I personally would like to think that doesn't matter who you want to appoint. What is more important is, inside your mind, are you even thinking in the right direction in terms of where you want to head with this? To that, my own answer is, I don't think that is happening.
So it clearly means that Team India needs a man manager more than a coach. And the second point that we
Again, Suramya, not a man manager. Right now, what India needs is, forget man manager. You can appoint a man manager, you can appoint a head coach, you can appoint anyone. My point is, what Indian cricket needs right now is for, not the Rajiv Shuklas of the world to take a decision. Have the
yeah.
right kind of people sit down, think about it from a cricketing aspect, and figure out, put a 5-year plan in
Yeah.
place. Don't
There
think
should
of
be a
it कि,
plan.
अगले 2 महीने में हमारा कोच कौन रहेगा. Oh, thank God, राहुल द्रविड़ को एक्सटेंशन दे दिया. नहीं, you are the world's richest board. Behave like one.
Yeah, so yeah, planning is the key word of this live session, I believe, because that's very, very important, and it clearly seems that right now BCCI, they don't have a proper plan in place, and we
Have they ever?
There you go. Have they ever? We very right. Even John Wright.
Yeah,
Even
they
John
were.
Wright was not part of planning. Even John Wright was like, leke aao, dekhenge kind of a thing. I don't think anybody except for Greg Chappell, was part of like some amount of planning. And imagine who planned for Greg Chappell, Saurav Ganguly.
So yeah,
That's
I
a fact.
mean, Jamie ने clearly mentioned किया, have they ever come up with some plan or something? तो अभी भी कोई plan नहीं है, but ठीक है, अभी हमें ये पता है कि राहुल द्रविड़ will remain team India's coach. कब तक रहेंगे, कैसे रहेंगे, इस पर एक बहुत बड़ा question mark है, किसी को answer नहीं पता है. If we'll get the answer, we'll let you all know as well. यहाँ पर जेमी हमारे पास कमेंट सेक्शन में बहुत सारे सवाल आ रहे हैं बिकॉज आज दो चीज़ें काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट, एक तो राहुल द्रविड़ की इस टेन्योर के एक्सटेंशन के बारे में चर्चा हुई. सेकंड वन वाज विराट कोहली टेलिंग BCCI that he won't play the T20 and ODI series against South Africa. Now, these are just reports. There is no official announcement. There is no official release. But how do you see this? Because now people are asking a lot of questions around, will Virat Kohli even play the T20 World Cup or not?
Again, if India take, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I mean, it's like we are a show here, and then there's a whole army out there which still believes that Virat Kohli is going. His last T20I was November 10th, 2022. I'm giving a small allocation to the logic or the belief, as many people here will have. In a WTC final year, in a World Cup year, he stepped back. Virat Kohli T20 nahi khelenge. Let's understand this. If they make the mistake of taking one more anchor to the West Indies, where, like I said 4 days ago, you already have enough players who are younger, hungrier. Their game, Virat Kohli's game, does not work in the West Indies, just like Shubman Gill's game doesn't work, just like Suryakumar Yadav's game doesn't work. And the World Cup is going to be played in the West Indies. If you want an anchor, you have Rituraj Gaikwad. Again, he's not going to play T20s ever again. I'm rather surprised to hear that apparently he went to the board because, look, you have a 2-test series. Acclimatizing yourself is very important. I think 3 one-days or even 2 of those 3 one-days would have been perfect acclimatization for Virat Kohli, despite this being his 5th tour to the West Indies. It's very, very important that whatever time Virat Kohli, the India cricketer, has, he needs to, my mind, be planning. Again, planning koi nahi karta. I don't know why I'm saying it. Whatever time he has left, I believe he should dedicate that, along with said coach, along with Rohit Sharma, to helping India get their hands on the 2025 Champions Trophy, as well as their hands on the 2025 WTC Trophy. As much as we talk about Virat Kohli's drive, determination, hunger for records, his fitness, he's going to be 39 when the next one-day World Cup comes along. He's going to be 39 when the next to next WTC final happens. Logically, realistically, let's hope that he keeps himself driven, fit for just until 2027. So us lihaz se, I know he's played a hell lot of cricket this year. He's probably still weeping internally for the fact that he could not win the one-day World Cup. But I'm still surprised that he wants to skip. You could say it's just 3-4 meaningless one-days. But you need Virat Kohli firing on all cylinders come that Boxing Day test match against South Africa. And he's not going to be firing when he's taking a month's break. He should be playing those one-days just so that his mind, his body, his whole temperament gets in sync of playing on South African pitches. The touring teams don't play board presidents 11 anymore. There's no tour matches. They have these open net sessions, which they believe work better than tour matches, but have these open net sessions won you anything? Naina. So I would have loved to see him just to get his body and mind in sync with the ball coming onto the bat in South Africa by playing at least 2-3 of these one-days. He's chosen not to. I believe it's a wrong decision, and it's going to cost you when you lose another South African Test series.
Okay. Taus, for once, let's believe these reports that Virat Kohli has approached BCCI and has said that, he won't be part of that South Africa white ball series. So he won't be playing those T20 matches. Okay. Then we are left with those 3-match series against Afghanistan, the T20 series. Will Virat Kohli be playing that series? I guess no. I believe no. And then it leaves us with only T20 World Cup. Obviously, IPL is there in between, but then directly T20 World Cup. So will Virat Kohli directly be seen in T20 World Cup?
I think he's already given the signs ना कि मैं नहीं खेल रहा हूँ, तो मतलब which is clear. I mean, he would be clear in his mind. यार youngsters को भी opportunity देना है. रोहित शर्मा might also come and say one day, like in the next few meeting, yeah, T20 से हमको relief कर दो. I think it's a logical decision not to play. Yeah, one day I agree with Jamie Bhai that he should have played at least one day to get the hang. नेट्स में कुछ खास नहीं होता, कुछ आप खाली नॉकिंग सेशंस करते हो, थ्रो डाउन करते हो, आप अच्छे ड्राइव्स लग जाते हो तो एक कॉन्फिडेंस, फेक कॉन्फिडेंस कहेंगे, बिल्डअप हो जाता है, क्योंकि नेट पे आपको सिर्फ थ्रो डाउन में से आपको बैट पे बॉल दिया जाता है, बट मैच में आई मीन द रियल स्ट्रैटेजी कम्स आउट, द बॉलर bowl slow one, he will bowl a bouncer, maybe a yorker. But then यहाँ पर, yeah, it's a wrong not to play the ODIs, but T20 cricket, he has clearly given the signs कि भाई don't consider me. He will be there for the IPL, but T20 cricket, and it will be unfair for the other youngsters, yeah, which we have been saying for some time now. Okay, unfair for the youngsters who have been doing well. I mean, our batting is superb. Yeah, look at the matches yesterday, or maybe before that they have played. Forget bowling, वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया की भी खराब थी, उन्होंने भी कंसीड किया है, बट यहाँ पर बैटिंग वी हैव बीन सुपर्ब आउट ऑफ. अब talk about Ruturaj Gaikwad, the anchor. Talk about this Ishan Kishan, somebody who was Yashasvi Jaiswal. Talk about Rinku Singh. I mean, we have players for all formats. Yeah, they'll get exposure once they go out, play in South Africa, or maybe play in the West Indies, where the wickets won't be really batting friendly. What we are seeing of late. But then that's fine. I think Virat Kohli has already given this statement कि भाई indirectly, I mean, he won't come and say कि भाई मुझे आप T20 World Cup मत खिलाओ, but slowly and gradually बोल दिया होगा, और ऑफ द रिकॉर्ड बोला होगा कि मुझे फ्यूचर में कंसीडर मत करो T20. It is a logical decision. He has played enough cricket. Others should be given a chance, and we are not desperate of having for having Virat Kohli in a T20 squad right now. I think I was hopeful
Okay.
कि यार
So you're
कुछ
not
करेगा,
okay.
सडनली एक सिलेक्टर्स बोले क्या बैटिंग कर रहा है, 800 रन मारा, लेट्स कंसीडर हिम, बट देन दैट वुड बी अनफेयर टू द अदर यंगस्टर्स. यार
Okay, an extension to Tao's point, Srini, do we really not need any Virat Kohli in our T20 squad for that World Cup?
You know, on another day, on any other day, if we were having a show, maybe a year down the line, 5 years down the line, what is the likelihood of we discussing यार कितना बड़ा T20 प्लेयर था यार, कितना बड़ा T20 बैट्समैन है, or what is like anybody who's followed or like watched decent amount of cricket, what is the likelihood of you remembering अरे बड़ा T20 प्लेयर था. नहीं, आज भी क्रिस गेल को जितना भी मैं call him whatever, like wow man, what a kind of guy said, the IPL on fire, but he has a triple hundred in Test cricket. He Brendan McCullum 158. I still believe one of IPL's or private T20 leagues most influential knocks, first ever game of the IPL. But that said, you remember Baz for what he has contributed as a red ball cricketer, for what he is still contributing as a red ball coach with in England. Greatness. What are you identifying a Virat Kohli with? Are you identifying Virat Kohli in the same bracket as a Ruturaj Gaikwad and a Yashasvi Jaiswal and a Venkatesh Iyer? And so what is Virat Kohli's comparison here? Are we putting Virat Kohli in the same bracket as a Devon Conway and a Rachin Ravindra and or any of these modern day T20 talent, or we tend to say that Virat is the epitome of whatever modern day batting is, based on what? T20 cricket. Because if that is the whole argument, then there's no point discussing cricket. Then it's all done. It's all over. Then let's not discuss greatness. Then let's discuss who's the biggest tamasha maker in cricket and what is happening. So if you are really seriously interested in discussing cricket, then, and if greatness is a quotient that we want to kind of identify with, tell me something. In 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, would anybody be remember? अरे पता है इसने ना 100 T20 खेला है, इसने ना 200 T20 खेला है. Like somebody will play 400 T20s in 5 years from now. Does it really matter? There was a time when playing 100 test matches was a lifetime feather in your cap. That was like something which defined your career. You spent 15 good, 20 good years doing that. It was a hallmark. If you remember cricket, then you should remember that, boss, Dilip Vengsarkar played 116 test matches to become what he became. A couple they did what he did, a Sunil Gavaskar did what he, that is greatness. And we were like, trivializing it every time. Virat Kohli is identified as a T20 batsman by his own fans. They do a disservice to him by trivializing his career and pulling him down to where they think he should belong, not where he should actually belong. Because if you are trying to identify or judge a Virat Kohli, judge him on the basis of what he's doing at a certain level. So to answer your question about whether Virat Kohli should be part of T20 or not, I don't know. Not that I care. To me, what do I think? What do I want from a Virat Kohli? Use the next 3-4 years that you are going to play international cricket. Save your energies. Use them to go down in history as one of the greatest batters. That is what you were expected to do, right? You played your share of T20 World Cups. You proved. You don't have to prove to the world that you are a great batsman. When Virat Kohli goes away into retirement, is he going to be right now? Does anybody see him in the top 10 of kind of test batting? I don't think so. I don't think he's in the race. And that is where I think greatness lies. And a cricketer of that caliber, felt proud now when he broke Tendulkar's record at Wankhede. The whole nation rejoiced, right? He was not breaking any Tom, Dick and Harry's record. It was Sachin Tendulkar. That is the acknowledgement of where you arrived in life. T20 is not going to kind of do this, and I think then it's about maybe I think it's about understanding, and I think when each and every time that his fan clubs on Twitter and Instagram kind of argue and make his case for T20, I think what they do is a disservice to Virat Kohli, and they just trivialize his career.
I'll just add one thing on this, just to add the final touch, the artist touch on exactly what Srini said. I know Viv Richards, I know Mark Wall, they never got to 10,000 runs, but they're considered greats, right? The longer Virat Kohli and all this fan club keep looping him back to T20s, let's keep in mind the guy's barely over 8,500 test runs. By the modern standard, agar aap 10,000 tak nahi pahunchte ho, again, I have a problem with the great term, but you cannot be considered to be great in this era when you have not got to 10,000 runs. And he's going to need, Saramya, X number of matches to get to 10,000 runs, right? 50, 100 koi nahi kar paya. That is your individual record, which no one is ever going to break. But whatever time is that, this is why he needs to just drop all thoughts, if he still harbors them, about playing T20. T20 World Cup, aap nahi jeet paye ho, hoga bhi nahi. Whatever time is left, you are the greatest batsman of this era. You need to put all your energy in my mind, is na cheez ki rai mein, getting to 10,000 runs to consider being great. And I think that's what we should all expect him to do. Ye bakwas baatein chhod do, T20 nahi hoga bhai. We need Virat Kohli. I'm jealous. I'm a big fan of him, but I'm also very critical, as you all know. I want him to see out his days, doing his damnedest to get to 10,000 runs, because for me, that helps put the full stop on greatness.
In fact, in addition to what Jamie said, this is not just true for Virat, it's true for Rohit also. For example, I saw a series of tweets over the last 48 hours, 72 hours, where Rohit should go to the T20 World Cup as captain. Kya karega?
Or not.
What will he do? He will you want him to, if he wins, you're like, oh, finally he's won a ICC T20 World Cup as captain. Is that going to be a feather in his cap? For me, what is more important from a Rohit Sharma standpoint? In that Australia Tour of India, which happened early this year, that century that he scored in Nagpur, you remove that century from that series and see where that series would have gone. You think India would have really managed to do what it did in that series if not for Rohit Sharma's century? I take you further back, 2021, when England were here, there was back-to-back test matches in Chennai in the middle of the lockdown. You lost the first test match in Chennai. Second test match, how much did he score? 150, 161, I think.
160, yeah.
You take that knock and you see the importance of that knock, and in that series and in that qualification in terms of WTC, same in the series against Australia, is that 140 odd he scored in Nagpur. You look at the prominence it had in India qualifying for the WTC. That is worth its weight in gold. I would rather want a Rohit Sharma to stay, not contemplate retirement, play Test cricket. Finally, in his career, all my life that I have tracked or known Rohit, and I've known Rohit for a very long time, I have, time and again wondered why this guy never took his Test cricket, red ball batting so seriously. Finally, when he's taking it, people want to
Push him back to the
whatever.
T20
Bring all the
format.
T20 nonsense in between. T20, leave it to the Ruturaj Gaikwads and the Yashasvi Jaiswals and the young guys.
Yeah.
Let them do it, please. Understand. And by the way, it's not like T20. I understand. See, Rohit Sharma plays 2 more years of T20 cricket. He probably earns a lot of money. There is a lot of brand value attached to it. Same for Virat. But that is in IPL. That is not in Team India.
Yeah.
Right? So, this is whose mistake is this? This is not neither Rohit's nor Virat's. It is the BCCI which doesn't want to throw light. It all keeps going back to square one. It all keeps going back to square one. No planning. You plan this, it'll be better. By the way, it is the same. It's the same thing with some other teams also are fighting. Like, as Australia managed success in T20 World Cups, no, they haven't, right? Like, for example, but
I think
in what they are supposed to do well, they've been doing well. Tell you, look at this Australian batting order. Steve Smith and Marcus Labuschagne were total misfits in the 50-over World Cup. Had they lost this tournament, this was an argument to be made against that team. But you can't. They have walked away with another
they
title.
won,
No, but Srini, but again, I wanted to bring this up before we descended into Virat Kohli as always. Andrew McDonald, as part of Australia's coaching staff, in 2 years has won every single trophy in front of him. He was brought on as assistant coach. Immediately they won the T20 World Cup 2 years ago. He won the WTC final. He won the World Cup. And we're talking about Rahul Dravid extension. I will drop the mic right there.
Yep. There you go.
Well, that's that. Yeah. And so today we discussed 2 major topics of the day. One, Rahul Dravid as Team India's head coach. And the other one was Virat Kohli's decision to not play the white ball series against South Africa. And it seems that in both the cases, there is one word, one key word, that's planning. And there's lack of planning. So we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Srini, Jamie, and Taus for joining with me. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining with us in this live.
Bye-bye.
फास्टेस्ट क्रिकेट स्कोर अपडेट्स या सबसे डिटेल्ड स्टैट्स
क्रिकेट के अंदर बाहर की खबरें
या हेल्दी डिबेट्स
सबसे एक्यूरेट एनालिसिस
या फैंस का क्रेज, सबके लिए एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म।